Hello, it's Nancy Jutton, and I am the leader of the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp. And today I have the privilege of interviewing one of my very successful clients who has really booked herself on quite a few shows in the last 12 weeks and had a heck of a great time doing it. And so I'd love to introduce you to Joanne Richards. Joanne, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm really good. I'm super excited. Now,
Good.
before we get started, I want you to share with folks a little about you and what you're doing and why podcast guesting has become important to you.
All right. Well, I am a bookkeeper by day. I have a thriving bookkeeping business. I live in Portland, Oregon. I also have written a book called Midlife Magic, and it's my journey through my childhood and through being married 7 times, which apparently is my claim to fame. And those marriages include divorce and suicide of a spouse and various forms of abuse. And through that, it's like I've survived and I've been resilient and I've, gotten, pulled myself back up every time. I've raised a successful daughter. I've got great grandchildren. I'm currently married to the same guy for almost 20 years. He happens to be in prison. So, there's another part of my story. But along the lines, I left the Mormon church and I'm on a different spiritual path. And I've, also talk about the crappy marriages and, what I've learned from each marriage, and also my passion and journey and the experiences with UFO sightings and knowledge about non-human species and the paranormal and things like that, and magic. So my life is rather a mix of interests.
Yes, and quite uncommon. I mean, gosh,
Yes.
I think I've heard you say that you've been married almost as many times as Elizabeth Taylor and have powerful stories to tell.
Yes, and it's like we actually kind of tied because she was married to the same one guy twice, so she's got 8 marriages, but to 7 guys. So I think we're tied. and my daughter gave me this book for Christmas called "The 7 Husbands of So and So," and it's a novel, but she thought it was cute and that I might appreciate it. So, because who else do you know that's been married 7 times? Come on.
I don't know. And I read your book from cover to cover and it was
Thank you.
riveting. And I can see why hosts would be interested in talking to you and that the conversations would be very compelling. So good to understand what it is that you do when you're not running your thriving bookkeeping business. Now, we met because I was invited to speak to a professional group to which you were a part. And
Right.
then you had the opportunity to participate in the Podcast Visibility Live Lab to get steeped in podcast guesting inspiration. And then you decided to make the leap to join the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp. Why did you make that leap?
Well, number one, I like my book and I wanted a way to talk more about my stories and hopefully promote the book. And I've learned that there's so much more. It's like, I hadn't thought of maybe becoming a coach, or it's like I didn't know what's coming after bookkeeping. I'm getting close to 70. I don't want to be a bookkeeper forever. But I know there's more to my life than just bookkeeping. And I know I have a message to leave with people and to share with people, because my stories, whether it's about aliens or marriages, people seem to be very interested in the stories. And I do have experiences with, surviving and being resilient and making success of my life and picking myself back up. So I'm not sure what the next step is in my life, but I'm here to share the stories, and that seems to be interesting to people. So all your training has helped me fine tune that and get hooked up with the podcasts that are allowing me to share my stories about the different areas of my life. So that's been wonderful, and I've just thrived. I really enjoy the process. So
very good. Now, the promise of the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp is that you will book yourself on at least 4 to 12 podcasts without hiring a booking agency or hiring or letting technology or tech take you out.
Right.
So for the benefit of everyone who's watching, how many podcast bookings have you created for yourself during this training?
I think I'm on 17 or 18. So I think I've
17 or
booked about 18. One interview got postponed, so I've done 16 or 17 of, but almost I'm getting close to 20. You know, I took a little, it's funny because again, January is a really busy month for bookkeepers, but I've still managed to do a couple of interviews, a few interviews this month, because I just want to keep the momentum going. So
you definitely exceeded the promise of the program. And
my daughter calls me the teacher's pet. So what can I say?
So you must have learned your lessons well about how to make an approach and how to follow up and how to show up.
You're a great trainer. And it's interesting because I have been on, I've spoken at several conferences. So I have, I've done another version of a speaker's one-page thing to promote myself. But your training helped me fine tune the short bio and the media one sheet and really craft it so it will attract a host. And it's obviously worked because you liked it, the group liked it. And it's been really helpful to fine tune. And I have 2 media one sheets, like depending on which audience I'm going for. So that was helpful for me to have you tell me, we'll split it into 2, or, it's like, not everybody wants to hear about aliens and not everybody wants to hear about your marriages. So and I have 2, they're 2 different types of shows. So I can do either. So that's helped me, and having a succinct bio in a specific format, which is very helpful.
Very good. Yeah. Now, you mentioned the group. It's really a wonderful group of folks.
It is.
Why don't you talk a little bit about what the group dynamic is like and how it's been empowering or supportive to you?
It's like another family. It's like I was a part of a networking group for like 11 years, and that was my family. I was meeting with them every week, and we would pass business to each other, and you get to know each other really well because it's all relationship based. And this is like that. It's not set up to be a networking group, but it is, because as we get to know each other, then we're messaging back and forth to each other. It's like, well, I've got this project, would you be interested? Or it's like, I need a bookkeeper, are you interested? It's like, so we are collaborating and talking to each other on the side and really supporting each other, because the support and the camaraderie is like, I didn't expect that, but I love that. And just the support, it's like if somebody's ill or somebody's got something going on, we're there trying to support each other. So I love that. And again, it gets me out of my bookkeeping head, so it's a lovely something else for me to do, because I just can't be in front of my desk all day doing bookkeeping. I need another avenue.
Sure. When I created the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp, I thought to myself, what if people were in the same bucket, similarly aligned and wanting to book themselves on 1 or 2 shows a week, and that they were opening doors for each other, cheering people on,
right,
and becoming that kind of a support network. And what's been really exciting is that over 70% of the clients from the last session have renewed to continue their work. And that lets me know that this is more than the how-to of how to book yourself on shows. It's a community of people that are aligned in their desire to raise their voice and make their impact and create magic in their own lives. Which brings me to an interesting comment, which is some people are super serious about growing their business and driving leads and incoming client inquiries and creating collaborations with the host. Right. And some people are interested in paving a path to what they will next do in their life when the thing they do day to day is no longer their primary aim. And I think that's the bucket that you fall into.
That is, I know there's something I'm supposed to do as I retire or semi-retire from bookkeeping. And I know there's, I don't know. It's funny because I don't know that I want to build a full-time coaching business or anything, but I just know intuitively there's something else for me to do, and there's other people for me to reach. And so the training and the group is helping me fine tune that and helping me, kind of navigate that, or at least give me the confidence to keep working on it until I know exactly what I'm supposed to do, because I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I've been told you'll know when it's there. I just know something else is there. So the training and the group is really helping me keep on track, saying, yes, keep going. Don't lose faith about it. It's like, just keep going and have faith in yourself. So.
Well, that's so good.
Yeah.
Now, I've noticed a personal transformation in you in terms of your confidence and your presence and your ability to show up.
Thank you.
Have you noticed that too?
I feel very energized. It's like I've always, like I said, I'm used to being on the UFO speaking circuit. So speaking in front of an audience doesn't scare me. I used to sing at church all the time, that as a soloist, that being in front of an audience, I'm a Leo. It just doesn't scare me. I don't think I'm a drama queen or anything like that, but it's like, I do like putting myself out there. But this group has really energized me because, number one, I'm passionate about my message, and I'm passionate about the way I've turned my life, I'm happily married, I've got a great kid and great grandkids, but I'm also doing more things that are in line with what's working for me. So, I've seen a lot of change in my life in the last couple of years. COVID's helped me work on myself.
Oh my gosh, COVID's helped us work on a lot of ourselves.
I know. So, and this group is a part of that. It's really helped me work on what I need to be doing for myself to, be in that best happy place that I can be as I continue on, for the next 40 or 50 years.
So just curious, have you invested in coaching programs before joining the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp?
No, I'm very stingy with my money about different programs. I am very cautious about, where I'm going to put a chunk of money, and it's not like your program was the most expensive one out there. It's also not the least expensive, but, and especially with my book coming out, I could have spent, $2,000 or $3,000 on this book coach, or $2,000 or $3,000 on this, book marketing. It's like, and for whatever reason, yours came along at the right time. And that's exactly what I knew I needed to do. And I had the money, and I felt it was a wise investment, and it definitely was.
Well, that's what I like to hear. There are people that, you being a bookkeeper, you're clearly fiscally responsible. and so would you say that, how would you characterize, you said it was a good investment, but
yes. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
It's like, you promise that you will provide way more value than just the basics of the training. And that's the reason why I signed up and renewed again, because you do. And you're posting and sharing all these tips with us all the time, which is, it's like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Or, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And so it's just more than, okay, here's how to do your bio. Here's how to pitch. Here's how to, do your media one sheet. There is so much more value that you offer. And again, you're helping us hone, what is your high level, what are the levels of the offerings, and so stuff I hadn't really thought about. So I have to say that's why I renewed, because there's so much value in the training you offer, and you do it so selflessly, and you're really good at it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, you are really good at it.
I think that my philosophy is to under promise and over deliver. And because I'm in the trenches booking myself on shows every week.
Yes.
I am on the path to mastery just as everyone else is. But when I have a big win or I apply some level of finesse to a situation, I feel called to share it so that everyone else in the program can learn how to do that too. And what was really heartening for me is when people say things like, "You're the most well-prepared guest I've ever had. Who taught you how to do that? Will you introduce me to that person?"
Ah,
It's been fun for me to be introduced to people of influence who say, "Wow, I had 3 of your clients on my show. Every
wow.
one of them was amazing. What's your story?" And that's actually happened to me. So I know
And
your time.
you walk the talk. It's not like you're just giving us the how to, you are doing it along with us. So, and you're doing that because it's a good practice. So
And I want my clients to succeed, and my
exactly.
clients are succeeding, and success is measured differently depending on where the client is. And what I'm noticing is that there are people that are pivoting to something else and see another future for themselves, where speaking up on podcasts can be the vehicle to create that impact. And there are other people that are very much in their lane, making a successful business, who now need to talk to people they haven't yet met so they can scale. So either way, my people tend to be these fiscally responsible, learn how to fish so they're never hungry for another audience ever again kind of people.
Mhm.
And I enjoy people that are willing to roll up their sleeves and do the work to welcome the success. What would you say to someone who's sitting on the fence trying to decide, gosh, I got so much from the Podcast Visibility Lab. Do I make the leap to invest in the Broadcast Your Brilliance program or not? What would you say?
I would say jump right in, dive right in. And it's, you make it fun. And the Visibility Lab was like 1 hour a day. I think 1.5 hours a day. It's like, so, that for me, that was easy. Yes. And I'm busy, but that was easy. It was important to me. So I just carved it out. It's like, you just block the time. It's, block the time to work on your business. So that was a no brainer. And I would say just dive right in because there's so much value.
Thank you. Speaking of time, now that you've graduated essentially from the Podcast Visibility Lab, you now know what to do and how to do it. And you're doing it 17 or 18 interviews, I think you said. So how much time are you putting into podcast guesting in addition to running your successful bookkeeping business?
January, I've only done a few because it's a busy month, but I was doing, 1 or 2 a week, and some of them are only a half an hour show. Some of them are, an hour, 2 hours. So again, if you think about, what it takes to promote your business, I would rather be having these conversations than beating down doors or doing cold calls or, sending a million emails, trying to tell people, it's like marketing the everyday, what you would normally think is marketing methods. It's just like, So this is a fun way for me to market and have somebody to share my stories with, because I used to go to all these conferences, and with COVID, I don't go to conferences, and I haven't, it's not like I have a lot of friends here in Portland. And with COVID, I kind of stay to myself. I'm older, I'm more vulnerable. I don't want to get exposed. So I pretty much stick to myself. So this is like a whole new group of friends for me. So this is like my socializing. So I love it. And an hour or 2 out of your life, once or twice a week, you would spend more time with that, like hanging out with your friends. So this is my new group of friends.
Awesome. Well, and podcast hosts in general tend to be such a wonderful,
they have been, yes,
likable, relationship-based community, where one good interview often leads to another interview or an introduction. Or
right.
I mentioned earlier before we got online that some of the hosts have bought your book. I mean, what's that been like?
That's been lovely. And because I, obviously don't demand that they buy the book, but several of them have bought it so that we have, things to talk about, and they'll mention things in the book, and they're sweet enough to encourage the audience to buy it. And that's just heartwarming. I book sales have gone up a bit, but it's, it's not I've learned that that's not the major reason why I'm doing this. It's like, oh, okay. I thought, well, I'll get into this, your whole program, like to help me sell more books. And obviously there's more to what I'm doing than doing that. So that's great. But so the hosts have been great, and several of them have asked me back. So I'm already starting to do a second round with a few of them. I've done a second round with one or two, and I've got another second round booked with another one or two. And it's interesting too, because my granddaughters, it's like the other day, it's like, Grandma, all our friends know about you. And it's like, what? and yeah, and my one granddaughter even looked up one of the podcasts that I was on, and she was commenting about the host, because I haven't looked at it yet, but it's interesting. So, they're telling their friends about their weird grandma or their interesting grandma. And it's like, well, okay, do they want me to come talk about, how not to marry the wrong guy? or what, are they buying the book?
Well, it's kind of, isn't that a little bit intoxicating sometimes? Like, how does that feel in your body when you go like, oh, they know me, they know me before I get there?
Yeah, that's kind of fun. And it's funny because some of my friends will tease me, oh, you're famous. I go, oh, not really. And I'm not, seeking fame and fortune. I just want to share a message. And, I do like speaking, so it's okay. But it's like, it's not like I'm, going on stage and getting paid 20 grand to do so. It's like, when that happens, I'm gonna,
I want to be in the front row seat.
I was going to say, it's all because of you.
Well, it's just so fun to talk to you, to see.
Oh, thank you.
I've noticed you become so much more confident and so much more present, and
thank you.
And to see so many more possibilities for yourself than you did when you first started. And so I often quip that the person who starts the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp is not the person who graduates. And
True.
You are absolutely that. So I know that you have two different ways that people can get in closer touch with you. One is, why don't you go ahead and share, if people are excited about learning more about you, what next step can they take?
I have a couple of ways. I have a website for the book, dragonhillbooks.net. I also have a Facebook group for Midlife Magic. So just Facebook group, Midlife. Anyways. That's
we'll put the link to that.
Okay, good. I'll give you the link. Sorry. It's Midlife Magic. And it's just a way to either talk about the book or share fun stories, or, however we want to connect. I have an Instagram page, Joanne Richards author. So there's lots of ways to connect. Yes. Well, and I have email. It's all good.
Well, it's great that people have multiple ways to get in touch with you. But I think the cool thing about what I want to highlight is that here's a woman who was a bookkeeper who discovered that there was another way she could speak up without leaving her house and make a difference for listeners around the world. And Joanne has discovered that this is really fun.
It is.
And that the objectives that you've met, but there's been so much more for you. So you're going to continue to do it. We'll probably be hearing from you on many, many shows. And I look forward to seeing how everything continues to evolve, because I get to continue to work with you. And that makes me very, very happy.
It's a pleasure working with you. Trust me.
Well, thank you so much for being my guest today. And I hope that your story has resonated with folks who are on the fence, who have a similar path, that want to have what you're having. That many podcast interviews, self-generated, lets people know that this is doable. It's absolutely doable, and it can also be fun. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And I will see you in the program. And if you are someone who's been on the fence about whether or not Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp is for you, please join us. Go to getpaid.com/BYB and claim your place. And if you feel the need to have a chat with me to get questions answered before you make the leap, I will put a link to my calendar in the show notes so you can give me a call and we can make sure that this is absolutely right for you. So thank you so much for being here today, Joanne. You're a rock star. And thank you all for watching. And we will see you on the next call.
Thanks for having me. Bye.